Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint some really easy leaves for autumn. I'm going to show you step by step how to do it from start to finish. We're going to use a really loose brush style for this, and it'll be great for beginners. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's been in chat for our live show, so if you have questions, you can ask those, and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Alrighty, so I'm starting out with a 9 by 12 inch canvas panel. You can really use whatever size panel that you want or canvas that you want. This one's a Pro Series Belgian linen canvas board from Fredrix. They're our canvas sponsor. We really like their products, so thank you to them for providing our canvases today. And we're going to be trying out some new brushes. Princeton sent me some new brushes. They're our brush sponsor, and every now and then I have to get new brushes. So I got some nice new very nice angle brushes. My other ones were getting pretty worn out because I use them for all of my, pretty much all of my paintings. So I've got my 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch Velvet Touch that I use for almost every painting, and a brand new Willow's blender as well, 1/4 inch. So we'll probably use those, but I wanted to try out this new set. These are a line of Princeton brushes called Aspen, and they actually sent me a bunch of them. I just asked for this set here just to kind of try them out because they're kind of a little stiffer than the ooh, I almost got my paint in that. They're a little bit stiffer than the 6100 series that I like to use. These are a little bit softer. These feel a little bit almost like a hog bristle brush, but they kind of hold together like a softer like Taklon type brush. So Taklon or nylon fiber brush. So I don't know. We'll see how they do. I've tried them once a little bit, but I haven't worked with all of them. So I'm really excited to try them tonight. I think they'll work really well for this because we're going to paint a little bit juicier, like a little bit more paint on there. So the stiffer bristle brushes will move that paint around a little bit easier for us. And then they come in all these really nice sizes. And these larger sizes are a little bit softer feeling. So I think I tried one of the larger ones for varnishing and it worked really well. So anyhow, didn't mean to go on the plug for Aspen here or Princeton, but anyhow, so I did look, and they do have them at the Brush Guys down in the description. There's a link to my recommended brush list. These ones are not on it right now because I'm trying them for the first time, but you can get them there if you decide you want to check them out. All right, let's go over our colors really quick. I've got burnt umber, burnt sienna, quinacridone burnt orange, Indian yellow hue. No, sorry, that's yellow oxide. This is Indian yellow, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium yellow light, cobalt teal, ultramarine blue, quinacridone magenta, cadmium red light. Did I say cadmium yellow light or cadmium red light over here? I don't know what you're laughing at. This is cadmium red light. This is cadmium yellow, obviously. I don't know what I said.
I'm mixed up now.
Unbleached titanium, titanium white, and then this is golden glazing liquid. It'll just kind of help move the paint around the canvas a little bit better. I need to move my palette cam over just slightly. It's a little tilted. There we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is use a spray just with regular water, and I'm going to spritz my canvas just a little bit. That just gets it moist because we're going to do like real soft blendy style, so that water on the canvas ahead of time just helps that paint absorb a little bit faster into the canvas and move around a little bit easier. Don't overdo it though, you don't want it soggy. And then I'm going to use the glazing liquid, and that'll make sure that none of these heavy body acrylics will underbind to the canvas, because with that water down there, if you add too much water to heavy body acrylics especially, they don't want to stick. So I'm going to grab some of this cobalt teal here, and that's going to be kind of our main sky color. Mixing that in with that glazing liquid, and then I'm going to grab up, this is very soft. This would be great for varnishing, I think, for sure. I'm going to even grab just a little bit of that ultramarine blue, make it a little bit more blue. In some places, there we go. And I'm just gonna go right onto this canvas. No build up, just kind of slap that paint on there. Not really worried too much about how it looks right now. This is just kind of our under layer. I have lots of other colors on top. Just want to get some color down here. And as I go down to the bottom here, I'm going to scoop up quite a bit of this Unbleached Titanium. And a little bit of the Cadmium Yellow Light. Maybe some of the white. Can I do more of a yellow? Yeah, that's pretty. Down in here. And then this paint is still wet up here, so I'm able to kind of just blend it up into there. I haven't cleaned out my brush. But most of that blue was off of there, so I'm not trying to do this with a brush that's fully loaded with blue paint. I got most of the blue off onto the canvas, and then I grabbed that yellow. So I'm just going to kind of go, now that I've got all that color on there, I'm just going to kind of go lightly across here with it and smooth it out. There we go. Got to do this quickly, otherwise it'll dry. This will up here will be dry before you get to that smoothing out stage. But having a large brush really helps because you can lay the paint down really quickly. And yeah, that worked out pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I'm not going to wait for it to dry this time because what we're going to do is kind of almost lift off some of this color. So I'm going to take my Filbert brush, and while this paint is still wet, I'm just going to go through here and just kind of pull off some of this color in some areas. You could use a paper towel too. Actually, that might go faster. Let's do that. So I'm just going to figure out where I want some of these leaves to go. Leaves. Leaf me alone. You're rubbing off on me.
Exactly. You're finally becoming more normal.
I actually really like this paper towel look because we can even leave it, you know, it kind of looks almost like clouds or whatever. So even if we don't cover these areas with paint, we can still leave that paper towel effect. And I'm just finding clean spots here. You got to do this while that paint's still wet. So again, I'm kind of working quickly here. If you don't do this part right away and your paint is dry, that's fine. It's not at the end of the world. We can still cover over the top of this, but this will just make it a little bit easier to get that color down onto the canvas over that blue. So, and that way we don't have to fight with the blue color. If you don't do this in time, just add a little bit extra white to your paint and it'll do the same kind of effect. You can see how we're just adding, basically we're adding white to the canvas here. So we're just lightening up some of these areas by pulling them off. So that would be the same effect as if you added a little bit of white to your upper layers of color that we're going to be putting on later. So no worries. Sometimes it's, you know, for beginners, acrylics do dry very quickly. And so sometimes it can be a little bit daunting for beginners to get their paint down quickly enough. And that's totally normal. So all right, getting there. Our big old leaves are going to go in here, but there's all kinds of little things. If you look at our reference photo, there's all kinds of really like blurry things way in the background. So that's what I'm trying to get right now. I'm trying to kind of look and see where these blurry areas are that have a little bit of color and just kind of pulling off some color where I see that. And I'm really just kind of running it in a circle. You may end up going through a whole paper towel here to get off enough of the paint. But it's a whole lot easier to just put the whole background on and then remove paint than it is to try to paint around, you know, paint around all these little areas. Then you wouldn't have that kind of soft blend that we've got going on. So that's why I did it that way and painted it first and then removed paint. And sometimes I might have, you know, there's several different ways I could have done this. Like I said, you know, sometimes I might have tried painting around it, or I might have just added white to, you know, my colors or something like that. So there's all kinds of different ways of doing it. I'm just kind of showing you hopefully some different techniques that you can try out and see what works for you. Okay. Oops, I'm getting some of that dark color down there, but that's okay. All right, I like that. There's a lot going on back there. And now these white parts are dry enough that we can put paint on there and we don't have to worry about the other color lifting off because we've already lifted it. So, and our background's already kind of almost dry, so we may not need you to dry it after all, honey. We'll see. Mark has been on the giving a heads up, so no complaining about it. You can't say that I didn't warn you.
I'm mentally prepared. I got the Pro 150 out.
Hair dryer.
It's on standby.
Okay. Very good. All right. I'm not going to try to clean that whole brush out, but I'm just going to get a lot of water in it and just set it off to the side there for now. And just keep it moist so that it doesn't dry out before I can wash it. I'm going to dump this paper towel because I'm going to get it all over myself. Get a fresh paper towel out.
Some paper towel ASMR for you there.
And
Now some wet wipe ASMR.
What?
Oh, just doing some ASMR over there.
Yep. Sorry, gotta get my hands cleaned off there. Otherwise, I'm really bad about touching my canvas while I'm working. So if I have paint on my hands, what'll happen is wherever I touch it onto my canvas, it'll transfer the paint from my hands to the canvas because acrylics stick to one another. So if I have acrylics on my hands, it will stick to the canvas because there's acrylics on the canvas, obviously. So, fun fact, I've done it multiple times. Alrighty, let me see. I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the smaller brush here. Actually might even, let's start with the Filbert. I like the rounded tip for doing kind of these soft leaf shapes. I keep saying leaf shapes. And I'm going to get some white. And let me see. So I'm looking at those background colors. So there's a lot of yellow. So let's go ahead and put that in first because sometimes yellow can be hard to get. You may have to do a couple coats. So we'll do that yellow first so that we know we get a really good bright yellow going on. There, some places. So just getting some yellow, added a little bit of white. That also makes it a little bit more opaque. That white will help make it stick. And just kind of dabbing on some yellow. I'm going to stop whispering. I get into it and I start whispering. Sorry. I try not to.
But you turn your audio on your computer, right?
I didn't, but I didn't do any webcams today, so this week, so I think it's the webcam doing it. All right, I'm going to get a little bit of the Indian yellow now. This is a little bit more golden yellow. And add that. We'll do some of that up here. These colors are a little bit more golden up here. Don't worry if it doesn't look like leaves. We're not trying to make this look like leaves. We're just kind of adding some little dappled color here. Your eye's going to kind of fill in the rest for us. Once we get these leaf shapes on top that are recognizable, then your eye's going to automatically interpret these blobs of color that are the same color as leaves too. Pretty cool how it works like that.
We got a question about the brush.
Okay.
Somebody wanted to know, is that where to go? Is that a flat filbert or a pointed filbert?
It says just filbert, so I think it's just a filbert. But it's flat on one side. It's not round. I think pointed. No, the pointed filbert has more of a really distinct point here. It does have a pretty good point though, but it's not pointy, like it's not a tiny tip like a pointed filbert would be.
Okay. Kind of a hybrid.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get some of this background color and add that. That's a good way of creating a color that blends into your background. So I'm going to get some of that background color and do some of the leaves with that and kind of go in and around what we've done. Kind of blend those in a little bit with some of that background color. My chair is starting to make noises on me. It's starting to tick and things when I shift.
So what are your first impressions of the brush?
I like it. It's definitely stiffer, so it's got a different feel from the other ones that I normally use. It's not as soft, but in this case it's nice because it is pushing that paint around pretty good for us. So I'm going to clean that out.
So it's kind of bossy.
It is bossy. I think I'm going to call this bossy pants. We my group of friends took my one friend turned 50 this year, and we went out to celebrate, and I said we were coming up with band names, what our band name would be if we formed a band, which none of us play instruments, so it's totally joking, Here, I'm going to tell the story here in a second, but I'm going to tell you what color I'm using next. Yeah. And I said my band would be Bossy Pants, and they said Stacy, who is our kind of leader and birthday girl, would definitely be Bossy Pants. I would be Artsy Pants. Terry would be, I can't remember. Shoot. We all had different pants names. Smarty Pants. Dave Smarty Pants. Terry was something else. Spicy Pants, because she likes to cook. So stupid. I know. That's not a very good story. Sorry.
At least it was no farty pants.
No fartsy pants. That would have been a good one. You could be part of our band if you want to be fartsy pants.
What are you saying exactly?
Nothing. I'm just...
You insinuating something there, maybe?
I wanted to. I really like this color. This is so pretty, and it really is. It looks like pink when you add the white to it. And especially against these yellows and things, it's really interesting. This is Quinacridone Burnt Orange here, and white. That's all it is. So I'm just adding some of this. And Cashmere's decided she wants to join us back there. She's clawing at the door. And just kind of going over some of these areas that I've already done. Adding little bits of color. It's almost too pink, but I mean, if you look at the color in the reference photo, it is really pink. So I'm going to add a little bit of this blue from the background to this color. Again, the same reasoning. It's just going to soften it and kind of make it blend into the background a little bit easier. It's going to visually merge with the background a little bit more. And I'm definitely going to add some more of the background color too, because I can already tell it's going to need it. And then down here, I'm going to really add a lot of white. And down here, all these colors are a little bit more muted. Okay. This is really fun. This is one of those that you can just kind of set and no stress. Just kind of, in fact, I'm going to hold my brush a little bit farther away. I kind of have to choke up on it sometimes when I'm doing on the camera so it doesn't, my hand doesn't hit the microphone, but you can hold a little bit farther back. If you hold it farther back, you're going to get kind of looser brush strokes than you hold it if you hold it up tight, close to the tip. So can even, there's a lot of painters that hold it like this. It's a little bit easier on your wrist. So if you have arthritis or something like that, you can try that. These longer handle brushes make it, you know, easier to grip and control with a different hold. I'm just going to smush it around a little bit. This is firm enough that it's kind of smushing. I'm going to end up with all pink and no sky left. I tend to do that. That's not new.
Season premieres tonight.
Okay. All right, using my white with my Cobalt Teal here. Love this color. And I'm going to use a little bit. So this is going to be a little bit different from the first time, because the first time we used it, we had the Unbleached Titanium with it, which makes it a little bit more grayed out, or it makes it a little bit softer, more yellowed color. So this time I'm going to kind of go around here, some of these areas that I've already done, and I'm going to smush out some of these outer edges and kind of blur them out. And if they don't blend, that's fine. We can always add more pink later. It's fine. I'm just kind of using, you can see the parts that I've done it in there and where I haven't done it over here. So you can see where I'm just kind of going in and adding a little bit of this blue back in around the outside here. And just make sure that if you feel like your paint is getting super sticky and it's not sticking to the canvas really well, then just let it dry. Just get your hairdryer person to do it for you if you have somebody, you know, for that, like I do. If not, that's okay. You can do it yourself.
I'm for hire.
Right.
We can negotiate terms.
Add a little bit more yellow. And this is Cadmium Yellow Medium this time. That Cadmium Yellow Light is kind of more greenish, so adding more of that orangey yellow back in. And we're just going to do several layers of this until we kind of find you know, kind of a combo that we like. You could do this with any number of colors. You could even just do this. It's really pretty just on its own, isn't it? With nothing, you know, kind of more abstract-ish looking, with no real definition of what is it, you know, can't really tell. This would be a really fun one to just do like this and leave. You can put anything on top of it or nothing. I'm going to use my bigger brush here. Let's use this flat brush. It's number 8 flat. Let's just make it easier to work a little bit more quickly. Cover a little bit bigger areas. So I'm going to go in here, and I can just use this corner of my brush to get into these little areas that I want to smush that paint around. It's definitely holding up a lot firmer. I do like that. It's a little bit easier to blend with these thicker paints. Now, if I wanted a really smooth blend, that may not work as well, you know. So if I was like wanting to blend one color into another really smoothly, I might not choose this brush. I might choose a softer brush. But this one's working for this more thickly blended look. What were you going to say?
Can you remind us what brand and type of brush that is for the newcomers?
The Aspen, the Princeton Aspen brushes. So, and I noticed that if you want to check out their the series that I did for them, showing kind of how to use the different brushes that they offer, Princeton offers. I did a whole series of videos this summer. Took me several months to do them. There were 29 videos in all, showing all of the different brushes that they offer in the Select line. And so Filberts are on there, angle brushes, flat brushes, mops, rakes. Well, they call them grainiers. but you get the idea. So basically everything, every kind of brush almost that you can imagine, at least that Princeton offers, are now not all of them are out yet because they're still editing them, but some of them are starting to show up on their YouTube page. So if you check out, just search for Princeton brush YouTube, you can see those videos and check out some of the projects we did. I did a project for each brush, so every brush had its own kind of project. This is Ultramarine Blue here now I'm using, just to give it a different color. This is so pastel, but I think when we get that other, those other colors on here, it's going to really read more autumn. Right now it's kind of looking like Easter to me. You know, it is, like the colors are kind of Easter-ish. But if you look at, look carefully in that background, like those colors in that background behind those bright yellow leaves are these colors pretty much. They're these kind of pinks and yellows and blues. So we're just doing what we're seeing. Get a little bit more of that brighter teal color here. Now these paints are starting to get thick. I can tell these have completely dried just about down here, so just fine. They're not going to blend for us. You can see they're kind of just brushing over the top right here. So if we want to, what we could do is go back in with this and get some of this Quinacridone Burnt Orange and our white, that was that color here, and just add some fresh color down here. And then when we go back in, we can smush around and it's gonna blend in a little bit. Those colors are gonna blend together. And I can blend with this one too. So just doing the same thing with this. I'm going to get a little bit of darker color. Maybe add just a little bit of burnt sienna to it to kind of tone it down so it's a little bit more brown. Yeah, let's start adding some of that in. Get some glazing liquid and just kind of smush around the sides of it with that. You can see how that glazing liquid kind of pushes it around. It's just basically like almost like putting water on it. You don't want to do this with water though. That is one thing that I had somebody contact me through email the other day, and they said that their paint was not sticking to their canvas, and they're real new to painting with acrylics, and I'm going to use the glazing liquid. I think that'll smush it around a little bit better for me. And one of the first things that I would look at is what you're using for, how much water you're using. So it could be that your acrylics aren't really great quality. If they're not really great quality, they might have a little bit of trouble just kind of using this brush with just this glazing liquid on it clean and just kind of smushing it around almost like I would with a mop brush. You could use a mop brush too if you wanted to. Just kind of softening that up. Okay, I think that's working pretty good. The kind of paint you use makes a difference. Some acrylics will not, won't stick as well as others. Like a lower quality acrylic might have a harder time working with it. But the other thing that probably the more common problem would be that you're adding too much water to your paint. So like I said before, that's why we're using this glazing liquid, because it will help keep our paints, thin them so that they look soft and blendy. and thin, thin enough to kind of smush around. But if we tried to do it with water, it would thin them too much, and they would not stick to the canvas very well. So I'm just gonna use this. Now, if we got over here and this blue paint was not dry, or was starting to dry and not fully dry yet and like sticky, it would do basically what I said with my hands, what my hands would do. I've got acrylics on my hands and I touch it onto my canvas, it would transfer that color. So what would happen is this color here is drying and it's still wet, but it's starting to get tacky. When it starts to dry, those acrylic molecules start to kind of fuse together and they get real sticky. And so if you touch them at that stage while they're drying, right in that time period when they get real tacky, it will stick to your brush. It'll stick to the paint on your brush and it'll lift off your canvas. So that's another reason why you might be having trouble getting your paint to adhere, because if you just paint and paint and paint and paint and paint on top of one area over and over and over again and don't let those layers dry in between, you're just going to eventually just start lifting that paint off, because it is going to start drying. Eventually the under layers will start drying, and even if the top layer is still wet, the under layer is going to stick to it, and as soon as you touch your brush on it, it's going to start lifting off. So like right here, I could probably do it on purpose, and it was starting to want to do that right there, so I'm going to just leave that alone. Might get a little bit of glazing liquid and just kind of smush those edges out just a little bit, but very, very lightly. I don't want to touch that. This is dry down here, so I can pretty much mess with this all I want to now. That makes sense? So you just, you can mess with the paints while they're both wet, while it's all wet. You can kind of mess with them for a little while and kind of smush them around and stuff. But after time, they're going to start drying. And when that starts to happen, when that process starts, which it doesn't take very long with acrylics. So you can see how I'm moving quite often, from one area to another. And I'm just kind of keep moving around the canvas. I'm not like trying to finish this corner before I move on to this corner, because you really can't do that. You're going to have to build up your layers slowly, gradually. And so if you don't wait for that process and just kind of try to work and work and work and work and work on this one area over here over and over and over again, it's going to start lifting off on you. It won't stick. And then another reason why your paint might lift off your canvas is if you add water directly onto the canvas, and that's happened before while we've been painting. If you've ever noticed sometimes I'll be painting and I'll get my brush wet and I'll accidentally drip water onto the canvas. It's basically the same as if I was adding too much water to my paint. The paint it's what we did at the very beginning of the painting, where we were dabbing off that color off of our wet canvas. This paint is not fully cured yet, and especially when it's sort of in that wet, dry stage, if you add water directly to the canvas and let it set, it's gonna kind of bond with the acrylics that are on the canvas and lift them off the canvas. And when you go to paint over it, you'll just end up with a little round white circle where that water hit. So different things to think about. You just kind of have to think about the way acrylics work, and just realize you need water, but you don't need too much water. That's why these glazing liquids and things are created, so you can kind of get the effects that you're looking for without having the problems that you might get with using water alone. Okay, see, already I really like that. It's looking really pretty. We've got all kinds of nice blending going on here, and I'm pretty close to wanting to start our upper layers, so really like how this is looking. There's just a few areas where there's some like almost purple leaves, but I'm going to let this dry a little bit, and while it's drying, I'm going to we'll see if I can get it to stick without lifting off the color, but I'm going to put in those, what are they?
Leaves.
No.
Branches.
Branches, thank you. That word
Okay, but that's
escaped
okay.
me for a second.
I forgot the name of the liner brush again.
Liner brush?
No, the line of the new brush.
Oh,
From
aspen.
Aspen.
Like the tree.
Aspen
It's actually
brushes.
appropriate.
That is.
Although this is oak, so it would be more appropriate if it was oak. But
Oak trees
I'm
and
not going to
aspen.
tell them what to
They could be an aspen.
do. You know what? I'm going to use my blendy, my Willow's blender. Oh, it's actually just called blender now. And I'm going to. I know this new one says blender. What happened to Willow? Okay, so I'm going to use purple.
Maybe she doesn't blend anymore.
Maybe.
Maybe she stipples.
Oh, God. Sorry, did that come out loud?
I heard something. I'm not sure.
I love you. So weird. God bless him. Okay. You are always weirder on Tuesday nights, I have to say. I'm going to just kind of very lightly. Oh, yeah. See, it's trying to lift that canvas, the color off. Okay, so I am going to have you dry this, honey. Pretty much before I can do anything else, it's got to be completely dry. Because this is going to be kind of a scrubby texture that we're going to do on it. So while he's gone, I'll talk about Patreon really quick. Because we haven't mentioned that yet. Let me grab this. And, we do extra paintings that are not on YouTube through Patreon. Once a month, we do a bonus video for the $5 level. So you pay $5 and you get access to all of the bonus videos that we've ever done, plus a new one every month. And then for $10 a month, you get into a Facebook group. That's what we did this one in. It was, let me think, it was about 10 hours maybe of painting, not quite, to get this guy done. Because I don't think we did a full hour, one of them, but we do 2 hours usually-ish, 1.5 to 2 hours every week on Thursdays. They get their own private live stream, just me, Mark's at work. And so we do it in the afternoons, and it's a smaller group, so it's just kind of we chat, and I take my time, and we just work on one painting all month long, and it's a lot of fun. We have fun in that group, and they also get to pick the bonus videos for the $5 level. So they get a little bit more access, and they have their own Facebook group, so they can post whatever they're painting and get critiques for that. But then if you don't want to pay anything or whatever, we still have our full eight videos a month, usually Tuesdays and Saturdays, that are free. So we're not changing that. This is just bonus material in case you want to help support our channel. That's all it is. And then we also, for $1, there's traceables. So we'll have the traceable for, let me see if I have a traceable. You can see what they look like. Here's a traceable from that leaf project that we did the other night. So they look like this, and you can use that and grab yourself some tracing paper, trace it on a tracing paper, and then use transfer paper, which is just this colored stuff here, and you put it down onto your canvas and then trace around it and trace your design onto your canvas, and it's basically like a paint by number at that point, and makes it super easy for beginners to kind of just jump right into painting without having to learn how to draw as well, because that's a whole nother thing, drawing. So speaking of drawing, our lesson tonight, that's making noises here, my lights are flickering. Our leaf tonight, so this was the leaf that we did on the video on Saturday, which still turned out really fun. I really loved it. And it's actually not as hard as you might think. I don't think that that one was actually as hard as it looks like it is. We basically just filled in these leaves and then added a little bit of glaze, which is just kind of a thinned out color wash over the top, speckled them a little bit, and then added some white around the edges of that water. And the water is probably the hardest part. But honestly, that one wasn't as hard as I expected it to be when I painted it. So I think it's definitely on the beginner-friendly side, probably maybe a 4 out of 10, something like that. So the leaf tonight we're doing is more of an oak, I think. It's going to have a longer stem, and we're going to have all these kind of knobbies coming off the sides. It's actually kind of more like a heart shape right here. And then wiggle out and back in and then out. And it kind of angles downward. And then comes to a point. Very rounded though. Everything's all rounded here. What's up? Thank you. Thank you. So kind of like that. That's our shape. There, I don't know what was going on up here. And they don't have to be the same on both sides. And we're going to do these all kind of smushy style, so they're not going to all be like really perfect. But I just wanted to give you kind of an idea of how to draw it if you want to go ahead and draw it. So, okay, so here we go. 6:41. All right, we're making pretty good time. Very good. So I made this purple with the Quinacridone Magenta and Ultramarine Blue, added a little bit of the Cobalt Teal to it, and then I grabbed a little bit of the Cobalt Teal, which it had a little bit of that purple. I tried to kind of get most of the color out, but it had a little bit of that purple in there. And mix that in right here. And then we're going to use this stiff bristle brush and some of the glazing liquid. And I'm just going to kind of go along here and do kind of a fuzzy. And I'm just going to kind of scrape it. That glazing liquid's going to help it kind of be sort of see-through-ish, sort of soft and blendy. Actually, it goes up almost more than halfway here. Enough color on your brush here. But I want my edges to be really soft. And the reason why I needed that paint to be completely dry is because we are scrubbing it a little bit, and if you scrub onto your wet paint, it's just going to lift it off. It's going to come right off the canvas. And really, we can't scrub it too hard even with this. We're going to have to, kind of be careful with it. We don't want to lift off everything that we've got. Too much white. I'm just going to just soften it up a little bit. Grabbing that glazing liquid. There we go. There we go. All right, so you can kind of see we're just doing these kind of soft, blendy branches way back in the background here. They don't have to be all that defined. And trying to keep them thin though. So just kind of the indication of some stuff going on back here. Like there's branches, but we can't really tell because they're all blurry. And just doing them kind of soft and blendy with this brush is kind of helps keep them looking more blended. Okay. I can see a branch coming up this way maybe. Can't tell. And you can skip around because some of this is going to be underneath our leaves, so we don't have to have it going all the way on top of our leaves. We can have it kind of skipping around a little bit if we need to. Like some of this might be coming out this way. Have a branch, but you can't really tell where it's coming from, that kind of thing. So, okay. That's good. And then now I'm going to grab that purple and use that glazing liquid again. And some of these branches, like right in here, a little bit darker. So I'm just going to touch right in the middle, kind of. And that paint's trying to lift on me, so I'm gonna to make sure I don't press down too hard on it. Okay. Keep this pretty subtle. You don't want it to overwhelm it. It can be pretty, because we're going to have these really bright, dark branches coming up right in this area over the top. So we don't want this area to be competing with it. We can kind of see it happening. You know, we can see that it's happening in our painting, but we don't need it to be really overwhelming. So I think that's good. Then I'm going to use a little bit of this, a little bit more of the Quinacridone Magenta, some of that purple. Got that teal on my brush still too. And I'm just going to add some of this color with my glazing liquid up in here. I'm just going to smush it around up in here. Add a little bit of value, a little bit of darker value into this. And value just as dark and light, that's all it means. So we're just adding a little bit darker. We've got kind of a medium to light values going on right now in these background leaves. And so we're going to add kind of some darker values just to kind of give it some depth. That's what gives your painting depth, is all these different lights and darks. Okay, and I don't want it super scratchy. I think I'm going to use this brush here. Use some of this glazing liquid and just kind of blend that out a little bit. Just like we did before. We can catch it while it's still wet. We can smush it around and move it around with this glazing liquid. It'll kind of lift a little bit of that darker color off. Now, you don't want to press too hard, and you don't want to, you know, do it too long in one place, because then it will like just kind of scrub the paint right off your canvas. We don't want that to happen. Or maybe we do. I don't know. No, we don't. All right, so let's put a little bit of this color on here, just a few places. This brush, I can tell this is super new because it's just like not wanting to bend at all. It's very stiff compared to the ones that I've been, my Willows blender. Older one is worn down to a nub at the top. You can see it's almost flat. You can tell the difference there, but that one's round. It has definitely lost some of its, here, let's see the dark background behind it. You can see how much it worn down. It probably wore that whole top arch off of it completely. I use it a lot. It works great. Let's use a little bit of this stiffer bristle brush here. Okay. You can kind of disguise some of these branches, and if you get a branch on there that you just really hate, guess what? You can go back and grab your Cobalt Teal, which was our background color, and just kind of soften it up. Look, now it's kind of smushy. Softening, pushing it back into the background a little bit. See that? I'm going to use the edge of this brush. This makes nice lines, make some thinner lines with this. Okay. All these kind of crisscrossing branches happening down here. Get some of that pink.
Where are the applesauce branches?
Crisscross applesauce, yep. They're down here. They're all down in here.
Okay, good. Do they have friends? where they live.
So, got lots of friends back here.
They're all happy.
They are. They're happy little branches. Lots of little friends with them. Bob Ross would be proud. Gonna get some of that pink, which was that Quinacridone Burnt Orange with my white. If you don't have Quinacridone Burnt Orange, you can mix it yourself with some, well, you can mix something similar. It's not going to be exactly the same, but you could use like burnt sienna, a little bit of burnt sienna with your Quinacridone Magenta, and maybe a little bit of yellow to make it a little bit more orangey, and you'll get a color similar to this. I've mixed it in several of my videos that way, and it's worked out pretty good. It's a new color that I just kind of added last year to my, or this summer I started adding it to my list of colors, and I really, really like it. It's working out really good. It's just a really beautiful soft orange, peach. Okay, get some more of this yellow. Okay, and I don't want to do too much more on my background because I want to leave time to work on these leaves, but that are upper thing. But I want my background completely done before I try to work on my leaves, because otherwise it's gonna, it's just gonna be that much harder to go back here and do anything to this background after we add stuff on top. So adding some of this yellow and white here back in, just in a few areas to brighten it up. Okay, so let's start on our, I'm gonna dip all these brushes back in my water, keep them moist while they're, dunk them all in the pool. Everybody's swimming, but don't leave them in the water.
It's all swim.
Or they're drowned, and their handles will crack. So what happens is that water soaks all the way through this metal part and gets back in here. This part's wood, and that wood swells and cracks that paint off of your brush. So don't want that, especially when you're paying that much for brushes. You take good care of them. Keep them wet. Wash them really, really good after you use them. Don't let them set overnight before you wash them, or even for a couple hours. You gotta wash them right away. I'm gonna put some of this darker color down in here. I just noticed there's a little bit of that darker color down in here. I'm sure I've missed, whoops, whoa, I missed my water all together. That was a rim shot, or what was that called? What airball?
Rim shot, airball.
I don't know.
You're so sporty.
I know. I was trying to be sporty, but
do the points.
I can't relate to the sports. I just... so funny.
Kick a home run.
Be quiet.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So now we're going to put in our branches for real. This is I'm going to get burnt umber here and some of that Quinacridone burnt orange, maybe some of that burnt sienna, whatever we got going on over there. And some of our blue and Quinacridone Magenta to make a kind of a purpley color. You can see how I'm kind of picking up, I'm kind of making a mess of these two, but I'm picking up the color and pushing it over here so that I'm not trying to blend right up in here, because you can see how messy this gets when you're blending. You don't want it to. So this is kind of right off center. So if you're kind of on the center here, you're going to come right off to one side, and I'm going to use, I've switched to the round brush here. This is the number 2 round. Main thing with these branches is that they're going to get thinner as they go down. So just keep that in mind. You can even switch to a smaller brush if you want to just to make sure that you're getting thinner as you go down the branch. So this is the thicker part. As we come down here, we're going to get a lot of thinner. Thinner, thinner, thinner. So I'm just going to be using the very tip of the brush by the time I get down here. I want really baby little branches. Now, this is probably going to be hard for some of the beginners. So if you want to do it a little bit easier, a little bit more kind of, impressionist style or sort of looser, you can use something like a credit card and do your lines with that and just kind of run it through your paint and then run your lines with that. It'll be a little bit, I'm just using the corner of it, be a little bit more kind of loose and open, but it works really well. And you can do your bigger lines with the whole edge of it. It makes it really easy to get a nice straight line, cut them into pieces, cut them whatever size you want. So don't feel like you have to do this with the brush. You could even use a marker, whatever works for you. So I think people feel like they have to jump in and know how to do everything right off the bat, but I'm trying to make this as beginner friendly as I can tonight. So if you notice, I've been kind of going a little bit slower and just trying to explain everything. So if you're like, get to the point, Inch, but it's just because I'm trying to kind of do this for our beginners, folks who maybe haven't painted before. And if you're really experienced, then you can really, I'm sure you can really make this special and jazz it up even more. Okay, so this one's coming down here. Well, I need to leave room for my leaves, so I want to stay. I'm getting happy here with it and coming down pretty far. So I want to leave room for where my leaves are going to go. So there's one right up in here. I kind of left a little kind of knuckle. These kind of have these little knuckles that happen every now and then on these branches. So kind of every now and then maybe press a little bit harder just to get a little bit thicker area in there. This one is going up this way. You can put these branches or these leaves wherever you want them to go. Just think about the way the leaf is going to naturally grow. I'm going to put one out here. This is not going by the picture at all, so
it's your own little world.
Exactly. As long as you're kind of following the rules of, making this area thicker and the bottom part's thinner, then you're good. Pretty much. Tree branches are pretty easy. They're pretty forgiving. And they'll be a little bit thicker, kind of where they attach to the branch too. Okay. Let's try this.
So for sure we know you're not sporty pants.
No, I'm not sporty pants. Definitely not. Like I said, I think I'm artsy pants. And my friend Stacy is definitely bossy pants because she is the boss of us all. Whenever we go anywhere or do anything, she's always got the plans. You just don't sit by her in the movies. That's all I'm saying. All right. I am getting the unbleached titanium here.
Hashtag truth.
Hashtag true fact.
True fact.
She doesn't watch the show, so she doesn't know what I was saying. I could talk about her. Although our friend Day does sometimes watch. So, Day, if you're watching, you better not tell her.
You know what snitches get.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That was good, honey. All right, so now we're gonna have fun. We're just gonna make some smushy leaves here. I've got the back to the filbert here, and I'm grabbing I'm just gonna do these pretty thickly and sort of messy, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna smush, smush, smush. Remember how those are kind of, that kind of shape that they are. And I'm going to get some of that darker color and sort of smush some of that in. So we're going to start there. See how we do here. I don't want to overblend it because I want them to be kind of, well, what's that word I'm looking for? I don't know. Artsy, painterly, like that. Okay. Let's get a yellow here. Get some yellow going on. I'm going to put a big old leaf right here that's not in our picture. So I'm just trying to figure out where my center line is, right? If it might help you if you do your center line first. And I want to make sure that I'm covering up that background too. If your background's showing through, what you can do is add a little bit of white. White is very opaque, and it'll cover over just about anything. So if people, I get asked to sometimes what, like if they want to switch to a good, like heavy body acrylic from a craft acrylic, and they're making that transition, one of the first colors to buy would be a good white. So, like, if you're going to invest in some new, colors that are a little bit better quality, heavy body acrylics, get your white, because it'll cover better. It'll just do better for you in general. And I should have done some leaves underneath this branch. I just realized. So rewind those who are painting along. Sorry. If you're going to be painting this later, try to remember this. Do this part first. You don't want to paint around this leaf like I'm doing. I didn't even think about it. So there's only a couple of them, but there are enough that it's kind of annoying. It's not a big deal though. And if you do get paint on it like I just did, we can always add more later. So, well, like it's set in stone right now.
You've been asked to demonstrate the smushing in a little slower method if you can. I'll zoom in too.
All right. Will do. I'm just going to go over these branches here, and we'll put them back in later. Okay, so I'm not really over blending my colors. So I've got all these different colors on my brush at once. That gives you kind of that variegated look a little bit. So I'm gonna do a leaf right in this area here, and I'm gonna do a kind of a smaller one. So I'm gonna do the center part first. That's the tip of it. And then either side, it's got these longer pieces that are coming out. And honestly, this is very stylized. This is not realistic in any way. If you want realism, you can, draw them out really carefully and do them a little bit more carefully. But these are just for fun. This is kind of just a really fun and easy project. So don't leave me mean comments about it being amateurish.
Leave you, I get it.
Leave me comment. I know. I get comments all the time about my paintings being amateurish, and I'm thinking, well, they're for amateurs, so I guess that's a compliment. If you want the harder paintings, they're not going to be done in an hour or two. That ain't happening. Just realistically, I'm not that fast. Maybe somebody else is, but I'm not. So there we go. Does that make sense? Hopefully, went those a little bit slower there. So let's do these nice big ones down here. I'm going to get a little bit of this burnt sienna, quinacridone burnt orange, and one, two, three, and then using that rounded tip of this Filbert makes it really easy to get these really pretty rounded edges too. And I'm not going right in. You can kind of do like that if you need to. Round that part out if you don't want it to be stiff, because really in the leaf they are kind of rounded right here in all of those areas. So, well, some of them aren't though. Some of them are rounded and some of them aren't. So I think we're okay. I don't know why I did not point this at my leaf, at my stem here. So my leaf is ending up pointing in the wrong direction here. Gonna have to reverse course here and try to get it closer to the thing here. Okay, so trying to look at my overall shape. I think I can come down a little bit more even with this. These are almost like, yeah, there we go. Yeah, it works. I can move the center of it, so we'll just pretend this is the center of it right here. We just moved it over a little bit. Let's get some more yellow. Do this one over here, a little bit more yellow. And this time I'm going to make sure that I'm pointing it straight at my center there. That way we don't have any issues. Silly. So worried about going slow and showing it. I'm not really paying attention to what my shape is, where I'm pointing it at. So I'm going to cover over. I used that yellow so that it would show up against that darker brown. So think about that. If you're overlapping a couple of them, small, smaller, 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 and just kind of filling in the centers with kind of some smushy colors. And then I'm going to kind of go back in here and add just a little on top, just to kind of give it a little extra detail. There we go. We can go in here, like I said, if you watch the one on Saturday where we definitely did it more, it's completely realistic. So if you prefer that style, just do the same thing with these leaves. They're basically the same thing, just a different shape. So go watch that one and, just adapt it to this one, this style. It's totally doable in a more realistic style. Yeah, this is the one right here from Saturday that I showed you the traceable for. So you just have to kind of more carefully fill in your leaves. You're definitely going to have, there's so many leaves here, it's going to take you a long time to fill them all in, so it's going to be a lot more time consuming than That's why we did it this way on a Tuesday night, because Tuesday nights are kind of Mark's work night, and we try not to do really long involved paintings on Tuesday nights. So that's why we're doing an easier style this tonight. And there's all kinds of leaves all through here. There's I'm trying to kind of just give the feeling of all this overlapping happening here. We don't have to define everything, and they're not all going to be facing us. So some of them might be from the side, and we might only see kind of a line for it or something like that. Our cat's wanting in here. So get some of a brighter yellow here. This is the Cadmium Yellow Light. Going back over this.
And what size filbert is that? Does it have a number?
This is number 6. I would say it's about 1/2 inch.
Number 6, aspen.
Mm-hmm. The aspen line.
Oh, aspen line filbert.
Cashmere, what are you doing? And really, honestly, we could probably leave that that section covered over, but I'm going to go ahead and put my branch back in since it's that way in the picture. And then I'm going to use this and just kind of very lightly kind of do some center lines in some of these. See that? Really easy. These are very, very stylistic. Not, I've said it a million times, I'm going to stop saying it. You get the point. Not trying for realism here. Just cannot say that enough. But this is a fun, it's actually kind of more of like I think it's like a decorative painting style almost. Reminds me of what I used to do when I did my woodcraft stuff. This is it's almost like a one-stroke technique. If you've ever watched the Donna Dewberry one-stroke stuff. She's actually, I had a out-of-body experience when she joined my Facebook group because she was like my hero. Can't believe that was very weird. Very, very weird. I don't feel worthy. I haven't ever actually talked to her though. She's never posted in there, but she did join. So that's my claim to fame. She's awesome. She's like the queen of decorative painting and one-stroke stuff. Okay, so that one had a little bit of red in it. We're just having fun with these. Yeah, that was. Oh, my moderators, they check the members because we had some spamming when we first joined that, made that public Facebook group for, just for people to post the paintings that they've been doing for my tutorials. And they were like, oh my God! They brought it to my attention. They're the ones that, it's pretty awesome. We were fangirling for a little while there together. She knows. What it reminds me of, I don't know. They like me. They really like me. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I felt inside. I still, I hope I never lose that, I don't know. I don't care how long I've been painting. You know, I've been painting for 30 years. I still sometimes feel like I don't know why people watch my videos. Really do. It's not a lie. Mark can tell you. He hears it all the time. Like, what is going on?
Well, you kind of know what you're doing after 30-some-odd years.
Well, I pretend I do. I know more than some, so I guess that's good enough, right? Mm-hmm. I definitely think that a good artist continually learns throughout their career. You know, I don't ever, feel like I know everything about art that there is to know. There's so much diversity of styles and techniques and all that kind of stuff. It's just infinitely interesting to me, and I continually challenge myself with things that I haven't tried before, and I think that's a good thing to do. And so I get very frustrated with people who come in and say, this is the way to do it, and I know, and you're not doing it right, because I feel like with art, there's really not any way you can do it wrong, That's what they told the Impressionists, like Monet and all of them, when they started doing, like, your paintings were not finished. Those are not right. And I'm just like, well, I mean, you can have an opinion about art, sure, but, don't tell me my art's not right or somebody else's is not. Everybody's art has its own expression, and it's their own personal. I mean, nobody else can paint it exactly like you're going to. Nobody. And you go visit my Facebook group and see what other people are painting from my tutorials, and you can see that a dab to one person is a dot to another, and it's not, no matter how many times it's painted, it's never going to be exactly the same, and that's the beauty of art. And so I just feel like putting these restrictions on ourselves and thinking it has to be a certain way is just really kills creativity and keeps you from doing something really fun. Because, I get it. The art police is out there. They're looking for somebody to take down. They're going to have opinions about everything you do. You're just going to know going into it that that's going to happen, and you have to just kind of shrug it off and realize that the people who are criticizing oftentimes are not doing. Yeah, exactly. They're not doing it. They just like to sit around and judge. So, they're not the people that you need to be listening to on your art anyways. I mean, critiques are all, very helpful and valid once you get going in art. But I feel like when you're first starting, my goodness, just do it. Just have fun with it. Try. It's not going to, probably 90% of your paintings you're not going to really probably like when you first start out. They're not going to be exactly the way you want them to look, but that's part of the process, learning and kind of figuring it out. And I don't know why these ended up across from each other like that. They look like they're twinsies. That's so weird, huh?
So are you saying that I shouldn't get on Liam's case because he's learning to walk and not doing very good at it?
Exactly. Yes. You should just tell him that
like,
he's
seriously?
not doing it right. He's not doing it right.
I'm going to post on his Instagram that he's not walking well enough yet.
Right. Yes, we have a video. We should show it. We should show the video. It's so precious. And everybody wants to see it. I know they do.
You can show it in your Patreon group.
Okay. I'm showing it.
Oh, here comes a grandkid videos.
You have to. If you're watching this, too bad. Sorry. It's your own fault. You came. I'm just warning you right now. It's coming. Here comes the grandbaby. He's like, what did I just do? Okay, there we go. You're welcome. I hope that made your day. I was a little
did
bit
mine.
weepy when I saw that. Not going to lie. Why we celebrate all these little things that we take for granted later in life.
But okay, so let's go back to the narrative, though. You hear his parents,
Right.
how excited they were and how encouraging they were.
Right.
Because he's a baby. He's learning to take steps. It should be the same way in art when you're learning to paint.
Yeah, exactly.
People should be more excited and that you're taking these steps and you're being brave and getting out there and doing it.
Exactly.
And not going, oh my gosh, seriously? Only 6 steps?
Right.
Come on.
Right. Yeah. Doesn't look like you ran very well there.
Exactly.
Like, well, it's my first time trying, so pretty sure it's unrealistic, but okay. Yeah. So just to encourage you, just try it. If it doesn't turn out, okay, so what? It's paint. Try again. Try again. And a lot of times, I'm telling you, a lot of times you don't realize how close you are to finishing when you're a beginner. Somehow it's kind of hard to picture the end painting. So, if you're stuck and you really don't like your painting or whatever, and you feel like you need help with it, that's what my Facebook group's for. Post it in there. Those people are nice. I'm telling you, they get kicked out if they're not nice. So 100% of those people in there are very nice. They're there to help you. They're new artists, beginner artists themselves. Number one rule is be kind. And so if you need help, you ask for it. If you just want to be cheered on and share what you've done, they are going to cheer you on for that too. If you have things that are not my paintings, so if you're just doing something from maybe say Cinnamon Cooney or somebody else like that, or just your own kind of thing, and you just want to share that, you can do that in my Angeluni group. I have 2 groups for beginner painters, and one's for anybody, and one's for just my tutorials. The Thankful Art one is mine, and Angeluni I share with Cinnamon Cooney, who is the art Sherpa, and she's awesome. And if you haven't checked her out, you need to. She's great with beginner stuff. She has more beginner stuff than I do, actually. But there's all kinds of really nice people in both groups, and both groups have the same rules about being kind, and no professional art allowed in there. So if you're a professional, there's places for you to go for that, but not that particular group, because we're just there to kind of cheer on our beginners that are just learning how to paint.
And the links to all the social media is down below this video.
Yes. Yep. So if you want to join any of those groups and check out what we're doing on Facebook, we do a lot of fun stuff on there.
Okay, so let's be clear. The first rule isn't be kind. It's don't talk about our club. Then it's be kind.
You can talk about it all you want. In fact, you can't talk about, you can't share what's shared in that group. So, if there's personal stuff shared, that's not, but it's a lot of really nice people in there. Gotten to meet people from all over the world. It's the most amazing part of this job, I think, is just I was bragging about you guys earlier today. It was one of the guys coming working on our house. He was like, so how does that work? What are you doing? I was like, yep. We got to chat with people from all over the world. Don't have to leave the house. That's awesome. Best job ever. It's pretty great. Y'all make it fun for us. Okay, so I think we're about there. It's definitely, beginner, juvenile type of painting, but I think it's kind of fun. I think it's approachable. Go ahead and zoom out there, hon. And if you don't want to do all this fancy background, you can make it even easier on yourself and just do kind of a solid blue background or something like that. Or leave it the way it was without the leaves, with just the blue and the yellow. However you want to do it. It's your painting, so we're not going to judge it. We're no judgment. This is your art. We're just kind of giving you a starting point to it, so you can do whatever you want to with it from there. I'm going to throw in some darker leaves in here.
And now for all the new people, this is a portion of Done where we keep on going. Done in the art world is, a little bit more. 15 minutes or so.
No, I won't be that long. I just decided I think some of these that have this dark stem, I want to pull some dark color out from the center. See how that kind of gives it a little bit of more interest there. So some of these leaves and if you want to make them brighter, use those bright reds in there. Grab a little bit of that, throw that in there. Give it a little bit of a brighter color. We've got all these really pretty colors in that background, so you can use that Quinacridone Burnt Orange up in here and do some of these with that. Yep. And when I want to just kind of wisp a little bit of color on, what I'm doing is just loading my brush fairly thin with paint. I have a pretty good amount on the tip, but not a ton. And I'm just very gently just setting it down and kind of dragging it and flicking my brush. So the tail of the brush would be wagging, kind of just setting it down and kind of flicking it out, and it'll give it that kind of wispy look that we're looking for. So I want some of that darker color right there in the center. We don't have to do all of them that way, but just a few of them. Kind of for some. And then if you want to, I think I want to splatter, because this is good.
Okay, so before you splatter, what's your first impression overall for the brushes in the new line?
I like them. Yeah, I like them. They're definitely stiffer, but I think if you like that kind of thicker style like we're doing tonight, that they worked really well for it. So, I wouldn't do it for all of my paintings, but these kind of that I want, that kind of juicier style, they definitely worked pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with it overall. And I'm going to do some yellow splatters too. That was that brownish mixture. Do some yellow. Just add water to your paint, a little bit of the glazing liquid so it'll stick. And I just like this because it kind of softens the whole thing, kind of makes it look a little bit kind of more dreamy, like, I don't know, things are happening, dust floating around in the air, pollen, whatever. And if you don't like it, leave it off. You don't have to put that part on there, but I just like the way it looks. So we like splatters here. Not gonna lie. Exactly. All right, so let me sign this and we'll get out of here.
So as a reminder, we'll have the Traceable on Patreon. Patreon.com/AngelFineArt. Jump over there. $1 access to all the traceables.
Yes, all the traceables for $1.
And next weekend or the weekend after is the bonus video?
Yes, next weekend.
Next weekend?
The 10th. I think it is the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So you can sign up. $5
and we're doing
level.
A Christmas Eve project this time.
Ooh, nice.
We're starting on Christmas early. So if you're ready for that. And then the $10 group is still doing an autumn-ish kind of one. It's actually kind of more all-year type, but it's got autumn colors. It's the Sun Conure Parrot with us on a sunflower. So if you want to see what we're going to be painting, though, I post those on my Instagram and on Patreon and Facebook. So any of those that you visit, really pretty much all my social media stuff there. I think even my Pinterest also gets those, so
and then
they all kind of spread into one another. This pen that I'm using is a Pigma FB Sakura pen. It's a waterproof India ink pen. Just don't get any alcohol on it because it'll spread but it works really well for on top acrylics. So that's what I use to sign it there, because I get questions about that all the time. So.
And then over there on your thankfulart.com, you get them to sign up for your newsletter. They get a free video.
That's right. Yeah, they get to try out one of my bonus videos from last year, the Mandarin Duck, which was like a 4-hour video or something like that. Really detailed. I don't have it because it's packed away in a box somewhere, but I'd show it to you if I did. But you can see it on my website there if you want to check it out. And then you can see kind of what we do in our bonus videos too, and see if that's something you'd be interested in. All right. And also I should mention the upper levels get everything that the lower levels get. So the $5 level gets the traceables, plus they get the bonus videos and reference photos of this painting and the reference photo that I'm using. And then the $10 level gets all of that plus the Facebook group. So you don't have to sign up 2 different times and spend, more money. It's all included. Every new level gets the previous level's benefits plus new stuff. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of dab off some of this to kind of make it a little bit softer. You got some super chats? Yay.
We got a super chat slipped in right there at the end.
Yay.
And this from Krista. And she says, love it, on all capitals.
Aww.
Thanks, guys. Art hugs.
Thank you, Krista.
Thank you so much, Krista. Appreciate it.
Back to you.
Yes. And I got to use the disco lights, so.
Made Mark's night.
Exactly. A hairdryer and disco lights all on the same night.
It's been a good night. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. And we'll see you Saturday. We're going to be painting. What are we painting on Saturday? Ooh, is it the boots? No. What are we painting on Saturday?
I don't know.
Is it this weekend?
Let
Let me look.
We're going to check out YouTube.
It is this weekend's bonus video.
It's this weekend?
Yeah, because it's the 9th and 10th. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Wow. Okay. So I was a week off. So this weekend we're doing the bonus video, and then we're doing the boots. Boots with flowers. Super cute. Red boots with little autumn colored flowers. Love it.
Thank you.
Hope you join us for that. All right. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.